start shipping everything
Just
to
a
you
tea
guys
company?
very
Okay.
soon as I get it. So once again, big thank you. You're all just wonderful, lovely people. If you've emailed me about this in the last week and I haven't yet gotten back to you, just bear in mind that I am dying and it's just me who answers emails. So yes.
Anyway.
So here we are at the end of June and the world might actually be ending. But I don't want to think about that because if I allow my brain to go there and to consider all the potential possibilities, I might go mad and possibly get more piercings or a tattoo. Who's to say? So today we continue the ongoing saga of Lily Tino, and I know some of you are probably thinking, but Sydney, I would like a break. I would like a break from Bizarre.
Got a job for me?
You're gonna
Ahead slow.
Lily Tino's about to get a break. Yeah, they're gonna get a break from public life. They're gonna get a break from freedom. They're gonna get a break from vlogging.
Off the hell gondola. But here's the thing, Tim, there's no breaks for me, so there's no breaks for you. I don't make the rules. I just steer the hell gondola. To date, if you have been following along, I have already posted 2 additional videos about Lily Tino on this channel, which I will link in the description box, that basically go over what has been going on so far and what has led us here. What has been going on is trauma. Lots and lots of trauma.
Done and dusted.
Recap for those of you who aren't familiar, and
There we go.
count your blessings for that. Tino is a trans-identified male who continually upsets people online for a multitude of reasons, including...
What is that, a basketball?
But not limited to going into restaurants, harassing waitstaff, getting misgendered...
I think this is the reason why people don't like this person. The reason why is because they go in there and they harass and tone police like low-income service workers. And I feel like that's one of the cardinal sins in terms of like doing content on the internet, is that if you are harassing and being annoying to like service workers, you're just an annoying piece of shit.
Because, I mean, like, how could you not? And then trying to get free meals from said misgendering.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Talking about serious sex reassignment surgeries while children are present, and using food to illustrate these surgeries. Skinwalking as children's entertainer, Miss Rachel, making OF content on Maine, and going into women's bathrooms and making women very uncomfortable.
Trans women are the best at sports.
I've been trying to say that, but everybody said that was transphobic. That's one thing I agree with. True. Yeah, true.
I have been misgendered 3 times in the past 24 hours at restaurants.
Yeah?
Trans
What now?
women aren't women, then is
This should be a
really
routine
croissant
combat
not
mission.
croissant?
Hi friends! Today we're talking about something super cool called pronouns.
Ah!
Yep.
It's like a laundry list of nope. The last time we spoke of Tino, the TikToker had gone on
I think that they should take
No
anybody
bid.
who's trying
You
to push
missed
any
out.
sort of sexual content out of the YouTube Kids section. I don't
Mining
think YouTube
upgrade
should be
complete.
allowing that, like, because again, there's a degree of trust with parents that are established, and like again, like this kind of stuff, there are certain things that just shouldn't just be on YouTube. And it's kind of like teaching kids multiplication before they learn how to divide and subtract, multiplication before they learn how to subtract and add numbers together. It's just a complex idea that kids aren't really prepared to take on. And if you indoctrinate them with that idea, they're going to create false conclusions because they don't understand the structure
Got a job for me?
that idea is built off of. And I don't really see why you should have any sort of like gender identity, sexual identity, like, you know, any of
Hostile
stuff,
forces have
lesbian
arrived.
Stuff, trans stuff. Any of
Could
this,
be risky with these
gay,
passengers
like,
aboard.
This shouldn't be on YouTube.
Planet
Kids.
item complete.
That's
Let's get there
crazy.
safe and sound. Civilian
That's not for
structure
kids.
complete. Mining upgrade complete.
a fun journey.
Hope
And
we're
another
up to
big
the
reason
task.
why is because
Military
a lot of the
research
people who are
complete.
YouTube Kids, like whenever a school teacher teaches something like that to a classroom,
Give the order.
there are multiple levels of accountability that that school teacher has to go through. Whenever
Civilian
you're a creator
research
on YouTube
complete.
Kids, you don't have those same levels of accountability. And I think this leaves too much room open for
This is the Akan
abuse,
battle cruiser.
basically.
My shields are down.
Disney World. Once again,
Got a
why
job for me?
Jill is going to Disneyland alone, I do not know, but we won't think too deeply about this one, lest we want to feel sadness inside. Anyway, during the visit, Tino made a series of inflammatory rage bait videos, but the two that matter today revolve around Tino using the women's bathroom, which we
Our
know
planet is
happened
under
because
siege.
Tino
it's always those glasses, isn't it?
posted a video
We're
about it.
underway.
Get into Disney World. I don't really know what the deal is with bathrooms. You know, Florida is really conservative. I don't know what the rules are. Trans women are allowed to be in women's bathrooms, but I'm about to go.
You don't know what the rules are? You're on a phone. Don't you think it would be maybe a good idea to record?
We're going
and just,
down!
take, like,
We've
I
lost
apologize
contact
and
with
look
one
this
of our
up.
planets.
Oh, I'm not allowed to do this. Oh. Oh, okay.
And use the bathroom because I have to tinkle. If I get stopped, I get stopped, I guess, but I'm a woman.
Well, I guess you could say they're getting stopped. Not in the way that they thought.
Civilian
but
research
they are getting
complete.
stopped after all.
So I'm going to use the women's bathroom, and being in Florida or being in California or wherever isn't going to stop me. I peed standing up, which is something I'm sometimes a little self-conscious about with the sound. Think, oh, is there someone peeing?
Wait.
All hands, prepare for phase jump.
Bathroom, and being in Florida or being in California or wherever isn't going to stop me. I peed standing up, which is something I'm
You
sometimes
peed standing up.
Military research complete.
Huh.
a little self-conscious about with the sound.
Huh.
Think, oh, is there someone peeing standing up there?
Yeah.
But you know what? I peed standing up, and it was fine.
Tino also posted a series.
Jesus, bro. Jesus, this is so bad. These people set the
Ahead
trans
slow.
movement back so much. For every person like this, there's probably like 50 trans people that just want to live their life quietly as the other gender. But people like this are going to ruin it for everyone because the community can't actively call these people out for the bad actors that they are. If a group can't accurately exile its own bad actors and its own extremists, it will become defined by them. And I think creeps and weirdos like this have now defined the trans movement, and people are completely tired of it. That's what's happening. They do so much damage to this.
Series of photos inside women's bathrooms at the amusement park.
This is
rating
crazy.
each one, I guess, for their trans friendliness.
Why would you do this?
I genuinely do not know why there is this preoccupation that persists with the place that you go to pee. I am
Occam's razor.
beginning to think this is a form of mental illness in and of itself. Once again, very on brand. But if there was ever going to be an on-brand moment that I would support, it's protecting yourself from data brokers, which is why today's video is sponsored by Incogni. Have you ever gotten
Marking
a call
territory?
like this?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sydney, you've won $100 billion. Please give me access to your bank
It's my
account so I
impression
can
anyway.
get it to you.
Or a text like
I've always been compassionate towards trans people, and I'm okay using people's preferred pronouns. It's not really that big of a deal. But the one thing that I do have a problem with is when people want to invade women's spaces and they want to be treated the same as women, especially in instances like bathrooms are designed for people based off of their biological characteristics. If gender is a social construct, then you should logically go into the same bathroom that your sex is, because bathrooms are designed for sexual organs and not for genders. Like, I mean, again, this is just logic. Like, if you think about this rationally, you come to that conclusion.
Like this. Hello, Sydney. This is USPS.
Like,
We lost your package. Please click this
I
link so
don't
we
know
can
what to
find
say.
it for you.
But I didn't send a package.
It's obvious.
If the answer is yes and you do get spam calls and texts,
Based off
then
genitalia?
unfortunately your private information is probably out there on the internet somewhere, being traded by data brokers. The alarming thing about this is that these data websites create detailed
in my opinion, I think what they should do is they should just simply, like, this is what I think. I think that you should always use your, you know, your gender that you had at birth. Like, it doesn't matter whether you had surgery or anything like
You've
that.
got the full
I
weight
think
of
that
a
if you
star
wanna use
base
a
at your
bathroom,
disposal.
like, if there's a gender-neutral bathroom, great, you can use that. But if
Got
there
a job
isn't,
for
you
me?
need to use the one that you were assigned at the beginning. Your default? Yeah, you've got to use the default. Somebody's
Alright,
comfort
you twisted me
does not
arm.
supersede other people's safety. And I think that the reason why, like, women have a lot of safe spaces. There's women's only gyms, there's women's only clinics, there's women's only shelters. And the reason why is because women are smaller and weaker
We're
than
underway.
men, and men can overpower women, which means
A
that
sound
women need
plan.
to be separated in some cases and protected. That's the reality, because that's biology. It's just how it is. And so, that being said, you destroy that reason whenever you allow men to come into those spaces. That's it. There's women-only jails. Yes, exactly. That's a different argument? No, it's not, actually. It's not a different argument, and that's the point that I'm making, is that the entire premise of that is that women's bathrooms and women's spaces are made to make women feel safe. That's the primary focus of these spaces. It's the same as women's sports.
Military research
Women's
complete.
Sports are so women feel safe. Can you imagine how unsafe it would be to have co-ed boxing? Come on, like, it's so obvious. And so if taking their safety away is a risk, then it should immediately be, like, you shouldn't even take that seriously at all.
And then publish them online for anyone to see. So it is because of this horrible practice that I can't believe is legal that I 1000% recommend Incogni.
Would you be
Incogni
against trans
reaches
men
out
using
to
male
data
bathrooms if
brokers
they
on
look
your
like men?
behalf and request
You should
that
just
they
use
remove
your-
your personal
use your
information.
sex.
Incogni also deals
use
with
your
any
sex
objections
bathroom.
and keeps
Simple.
scanning these sites on your behalf and reissuing
It's such
takedown
a simple
notices if your
concept.
information pops back up.
Which it does and can do because they can keep re-adding you. God, I hate data brokers so freaking much.
And thankfully,
They
it
need
is
to have all of these different services are a symptom of a disease. The Congress and the government needs to have more laws for privacy online and people that just put up all this information publicly. Especially with, like, how much swatting and doxing happens nowadays. It's just such a huge risk, and honestly, these companies shouldn't even exist. I mean, these companies are great to use, but at the same time, this is a problem that shouldn't even be happening.
wildly easy
I
to
am
use.
listening,
You
my friend.
create your account, give Incogni the right to work for you.
All
and
right,
then sit
you
back
twisted
and watch
me
the magic
arm.
happen.
What
Since
now?
making my account, Incogni have completed over 1,000 removal requests for me, which
Jesus
is
Christ.
absolutely insane. And now, very excitingly, they offer custom removals.
Time to bid.
This lets
Place
you
am
request a
I.
removal from any data broker site not already in Incogni system, and from websites where they can legally request a removal.
Yep.
So if you too want to protect your private information and
Someone says in chat, they said, I have a unique question.
Military
about a woman
research
who
complete.
transitioned to be a man. I have a friend that was a trans man and would use family bathrooms where possible.
Yes,
but,
I
would
don't
go to
have
the
all
men's bathroom
day.
Instead, I had no idea he was a trans man for my first year of knowing him. He just looked like a regular man.
I am
You
listening,
should
my friend.
use the sex that you were given at birth. If you were born with a dick, you need to be using the men's bathroom. If you weren't, then you need to be using the women's bathroom.
Aye?
It's actually that simple. This is basic human biology that has existed for thousands of years. It's present in
Civilian
all
research
other,
complete.
life forms, basically, almost all.
What
I don't
now?
think that we should complicate this in any capacity. Because the moment that you complicate this, you enter into these concentric... It's like an onion of problems. It's like, so is it okay if you pass as the other gender? Okay, well,
Another
what if you
faction
don't
has claimed
pass?
the
Well,
metal
what's
market.
The definition of
Let
passing?
this be
It's
a
all these
lesson. Next
complications.
time, pay up.
Whereas if you just fucking, like, it's a, you know, again, you just enter into a million problems by talking about this. There's layers and layers and layers of this. It's so simple. We've been doing it forever. Let's not reinvent the wheel.
fight the evil data brokers, then click the link in the description or go to incogni.com/Sydney. And don't forget to use code Sydney to get 60% off an annual plan. Obviously, and unsurprisingly, these actions really bothered a lot of people, your girl here included, to the extent that it kicked off an entire online discussion where Tino was once again accused of being a fan of the playground and being overall really creepy in general.
Systems calibrated.
Also claimed to be
Military
present in one of the
research complete.
photographs that Tino posted in the women's bathroom and said that she was looking to take legal action with relation to the matter.
Smart.
Anyway, I'm scrolling and guys, look what I noticed. Boom.
That's you?
There I am. I personally am going to try to seek legal advice about it because I don't know what else was taken without my permission. Like other photos that may not have been posted because I don't know what else was taken in there.
You just shouldn't be taking photos in a bathroom. Like, I mean, Dr. Disrespect did it, he got suspended. Like, I understand, like, I mean, here's the thing, is like in high school, very regularly people would take like phone videos in bathrooms of like fights or something like that. Like, I get that, like, especially if you've come from like a sports background or, you know, you're like that type of background, like, yeah, people would do that. But I mean, this is a totally different perspective. This is a totally different situation. And it's basically like this person saying, wow, look at me, I got in. This is a totally different situation.
While it was supposed to be a private area, when it was supposed to be somewhere that I should be able to just, you
Civilian research complete.
do what I need to do and feel safe doing so.
Because, fun fact, you can't take videos or pictures of people in bathrooms or locker rooms or whatever in the state of Florida. That's where...
So you're telling me
Carrier
that
at the ready.
Found that out. Lily could have just found that out by just looking it up on the Google, but just didn't do it. That seems like a bit of a mistake.
Where Disney World is. My stupid sick brain can't remember if I already told you guys that. So it's in Florida. Anyway, here is why we are talking about this absolute weirdo once again. The Attorney General of Florida, a man called James Uthmere, you guys know, I'm not good at names, I'm sorry.
Civilian research complete.
Wilson's podcast on June 23rd, 2025, that an investigation into Lily Tino was in full swing.
This is a transgender influencer. This seems to be like, first off, like you shouldn't be allowed to like film inside of bathrooms. It seems really creepy. But then here in Disney, it's like extra layers of creepy and wrong. Is there anything happening from the state level on this topic?
Yeah, we're investigating this. We do not tolerate men or boys and women's and girls.
If they end up convicting this person and then charging them of a sex crime and putting them in jail, whoever this guy is, this is going to guarantee his political career for the next 30 years.
Comm channel open. Military
like,
research complete.
There's like $100 bill on the ground, and I'm saying, pick it up! It's right there!
Restrooms, gyms, private spaces, no tolerance. We're investigating this one. We've already cracked down on some gyms in South Florida. They were allowing people that identify as women to go into women's locker rooms. Yeah. We put them on notice that legal action was coming. Thankfully, they changed their ways.
What a surprise.
It's amazing we have to have these conversations today.
It's ridiculous.
But here in Florida, we believe there are two sexes, men and women, and we are going to protect our girls.
What now?
Yes, Lily Tino is being investigated by the state of Florida. Maybe...
Oh. Man.
Aye.
Of all the places to do it in, why would you do it in Florida? It might even boost DeSantis 28 for president after his battle with Trump. Yeah. No, people are so tired of this creepy shit.
I do believe in angels after all. Now, because I know you guys, I know some of you are probably thinking,
I don't believe you.
And you know what? I had the same thought.
I get it.
Because there's lots of politicians who go on people's shows and they say things either in the heat of the moment or
What
they
now?
exaggerate in some way. And so when I initially heard this, I thought, okay,
Civilian research
what is the
complete.
veracity? What are you even saying right now?
Yeah.
What is the veracity?
Control
of this
group
claim?
created.
So I just
The item is ready. Military research complete.
And I reached out to that person and I said, "What is going on? Are you actually investigating?" And this person responded and they said, "I can't give you any more details other than what's already been said. But yes, I can confirm we are investigating." And I was like, "Can you give me any more information than that?" And this person was like, "No." And I was like, "Okay, okay. Well, that
seems
sucks.
pretty open and shut. If this person recorded themselves in a women's bathroom and it's against the law, okay. That's fucking easy. I mean, it's just right here. Look, I mean, there it is.
I guess I'm not one of those special people that gets to have any goss. Bright side, silver lining, at least the confirmation is there. They are, in fact, investigating Lily Tito. Normally, too, I would wait for more information to come out, but when I asked this person as well, what's the timeline of information on this, they said, I'm not giving that to you either. So I wanted to just tell you
Military research complete.
cover it as it unfolds, because
I can't wait.
I am excited about the fact that Creepy McCreeperson might actually be stopped.
And especially, and this is another really good thing, is that as soon as one person
bring it out the big guns. Got a job for me?
Or something like that, that's gonna stop everybody else from doing it. Because the reason why people act this way is because they get away with it. And so the moment that people don't get away with this, everybody's gonna stop doing it.
Now, like I mentioned in my last video about this topic, there are two potential laws that Lily Tino has broken here. The first is actually a newer piece of legislation that expects people to use the bathroom that corresponds with their sex. The other, and this is the one that I imagine that they'd pursue if this actually ever goes to court, is a statute that prohibits unauthorized photography in settings where people expect...
Times of war are upon us.
Like a Disneyland bathroom for women. Yeah.
Such as restrooms. This is a felony and comes with up to 5 years in prison and or a $5,000 fine. And honestly, reading through this, it's quite clear about what's legal and what's not in bathrooms and locker rooms.
Well, it literally says, is including but not limited to bathroom. It's right there.
Civilian research complete.
This isn't even like an extrapolation. It's like, well, if you look at the thing, he was in, like, if you look at the word, he was at the place that the same word, it's literally the same word. Yeah, it's black and white. Well, it's kind of...
Your influence is undeniable.
So, Tino, you done goofed. Guess there won't be a lot of time to complain about being misgendered in prison. One of my favorite things about this entire situation is how in one of the videos that Tino
Times of war are upon us.
Yeah,
what now?
I hope that they put this person in jail and then they put them on the sex offender list. I view this person as a bad actor and a abusive person. They go to different places and they intentionally try to create conflicts with people that are... you know, really, you know, at the bottom of society. These are service workers, and you're bullying them and harassing them. I think that an example needs to be made of a person like this because of just how this is just not civilized behavior. This isn't the kind of person that I want to have in my society.
Military research complete.
In my country and my life, like why do we as a society have to put up with such a weird, obnoxious, arrogant, abusive person? I don't think that we should. Get them out. Yeah, not that I'm really advocating this, but what's the rebuttal? That they want to be women, they want to be treated like women because they aren't really women? Well, of course they're not. I mean, obviously they're not. It's not even a debatable fact. They don't have the chromosomes. Their biology is different. Skeletal structure is different. They're not. Now, they can be treated like women inside of situations that are gender-based. Sure, that's okay. But the problem is that whenever you're going beyond that and you're trying to be treated this way, whenever there are distinctions made for sex and not gender, then you do really have to think about biology. And I'm a very reasonable guy with this, I think. I'm very liberal with this. But this is over the line. It's not even close to the line. It's completely over the line.
In the state of Florida, but I'm going to use the women's bathroom because
Sex and gender is the same thing. Well, I'm using their definitions of it, right? Like, gender is how you act in society. Sex is your biology, like your biological reality. Like, that's what people refer to the differences. Now, if you want to say that this is an intentional, you know, obfuscation by, like, you know, trans activists, then you can have that conversation. But my made-up definition, yeah, sure, right? But, like, this is what people view it as. And I'm using their own...
Civilian research complete.
This is their own logic, right? I'm using their own logic.
Times of war are upon us.
This is a biological reality. It has nothing to do, really, with anything else. So, obviously, I mean, this is not even a question about this. Like, I like, this is the kind of thing that's like an 80-20, 90-10 issue. And
the item is ready.
Imagine what the amount of people that agree with this in Russia are, or like India.
I am a woman. And the state of Florida turned up and was like,
you keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
On account of that marshmallow wand that you're trying to get rid of.
Yeah.
Yeah, women don't have those. So this situation, at least on the surface, seems pretty cut and dry.
Military research complete.
Totally cut and
into
dry.
a female bathroom, which is against the law, and then took pictures of women in the bathroom, which is also against the law.
Yeah.
But the truly interesting thing is that since doing all of this and royally upsetting the internet, Tino has taken not an ounce, not a singular morsel of personal accountability.
Seems like a pretty common thread. I guess 2025 is the year of accountability. It is the year of accountability, gentlemen, and I am all here for it. This is amazing. I love it.
In fact, Tino is very committed to mocking this situation at every given opportunity. In one very sarcastic TikTok,
I can't wait to watch, you know, like these get played in court.
Mocks the situation while pretending to be a woman with her child, going into a bathroom where Tino is present.
I am suing Lily Tino for emotional distress. Last week,
I love how these people think that, like, Yas Queens in comments on TikTok sections is going to stop the Florida Attorney General from putting you in jail.
Military research complete.
Bro, these people are out of their fucking mind.
I was in Disney World in the women's bathroom with my child. And when I walked into
Times
the bathroom,
of war are upon us.
Taking pictures in the bathroom mirror. And she turned to me and said,
Well,
hey, let me get
stream
your
their
face in
crimes?
this
I
picture.
don't know.
And I said, no, thank you. But then she took the picture anyway of me and my kid, and I felt this really weird feeling. And I looked down at my kid, and my kid got turned into a corn dog. Lily Tino turned my kid into...
And this is what a lot of these people do. And you can see the same thing happens with, like, the Ethan lawsuit as well. These people survive on a
military research complete
apparatus of lies. And that's all they survive on. It is just a bunch of blatant, outspoken, unrepentant, unapologetic.
The item is complete.
Complete mistruths. Total fucking lies. They study reality? Well, they're going to have time to do that. I've got a pretty good feeling.
to a corn dog.
In another video, Tino addresses various rumors and accusations and actually acknowledges a petition going around to remove the box-dyed menace from TikTok.
Those Disney bathroom selfies got y'all real upset, huh? Saying, oh, Lily, you can't take selfies in the bathroom. It's not appropriate. Well, let me remind you that literally every celebrity you've ever enjoyed on screen has at one point taken a bathroom selfie. For example...
Civilian research complete.
And it's not just celebrities. Any woman...
What now?
This is the kind of argument that a sub 100 IQ stupid Karen on TikTok is like, oh, true, yeah, it's retard bait. It absolutely is. It's total retard
Planet
bait.
item complete.
Do you really think this is gonna work? It's so disingenuous. It is. Like, I cannot wait to see this person have their life fucking ruined. I'm sorry. That might sound mean. I hate these people. I do. These bad actors is the same as that guy. This isn't about trans. This is about these bad actor liars that go around, they constantly misrepresent everything. They act like the world is their own private server. And then when anybody criticizes them, they completely lie about the criticism and turn it into something that it's totally not. It's like arguing with a kid. Yeah, these are like, yeah, they're like children. I cannot wait for the prison sentence. Yep, that's right.
Taken a photo in a public bathroom.
And of course, our noodle-haired weirdos.
Military research complete.
There are no lawsuits currently pending against the TikToker.
There's also talk of me getting sued for my bathroom pictures at Disney.
It's not a... It's a criminal charge. It's not like a lawsuit, like somebody's gonna like sue you for defamation. This is, it's a criminal charge. Different.
As far as I know, I am not getting sued, and I don't expect to
Criminal
because I
indictment,
didn't do anything wrong.
All of this on its own clearly made people even angrier. But honestly, this is Lily Tino's way. This is the way that this person does things. Each time the TikToker has been called out, the response has been to deflect blame and play the victim. But this time, our TikToker friend sealed this race.
You want to play the victim? It's time to earn it. That's what I think. You want to do that? Go ahead.
You've made a wise acquisition.
Time to be the victim.
In stone. I don't know if that's a phrase, but it is now. After
Got a job for me?
series of rage bait photos at Disney, claiming to have made it trans.
Sure.
So clearly, and I know I'm a broken record at this point, this is a person who enjoys getting a rise out of people, especially when children are involved. Red flag alert. Now, obviously, Lily Tino is just one weirdo in a sea of weirdos.
There's
but
a lot of
this is also
weirdos.
a person who has demonstrated time and time again that asserting dominance and making women uncomfortable is actually the objective.
One of our enemies has finished a Titan. Military research complete.
I
don't think that's the reason. If you want me to be honest, what I think the psychology of this is it's an entitled, abusive, aggressive person that thinks they can do whatever they want because they've never been told no in their entire life. And this is just them being a narcissistic, abusive attention whore. That's it. Like, that's literally it. Like, it's actually that simple.
Especially in women's bathrooms. And it honestly isn't too surprising to see these smug responses to all the drama. Tino
because
is
they get away with
enjoying this because this is what the
One of our
TikTokers
enemies has
set
finished a
out to
Titan.
do.
Well, it's also what their audience allows them. Like, there's an entire community of people on the internet that buy into this bullshit. And, you know, again, guys, I'm doing my best, right? But we can only do so much. These types of people are a plague, absolute plague on society.
To mention the traction this particular weirdo has gotten.
One of our
highlights the
enemies has finished a
thrive on
Titan.
the chaos that they create. And Tino has certainly been a master.
Times of war are upon us. Got a job for me?
Argued that being on the receiving end of legal action would actually be a good thing because it would draw more attention to the trans community.
Civilian research complete. Times of war are upon
It's
us.
just so stupid. Like it's so stupid. Like how is this even real? Yeah, it's gonna draw a lot of attention to the trans community. You're right about that. Very true. And then keep in mind also that all this
Military
person is
research
thinking about
complete.
is attention.
Civilian structure
They're not
complete.
thinking about their own well-being. They're not thinking about the message that they're putting out. They're not thinking about anything else.
Yes, I
They're
don't
only
have all
thinking about
day.
their own well-being.
Yeah, in a way that makes people want to exterminate
Yeah,
it.
all good. Yeah, all press is good press. Tell that to
Aye.
Diddy. What a stupid thing to say. Like, it's not, what are you talking about? Everybody knows that's not true. Yeah, tell it to Bill Cosby.
And if truly that happened, right? If truly they wanted to say it was against the rules for you to take bathroom selfies.
The rules. No, not the rules, the law. A little bit different. This
Got
is
a job for me?
Playing of,
one of our enemies has finished a Titan.
Around it being a Disney issue. It's not a Disney issue.
Planet item complete.
And these people.
Times of war are upon us.
Intelligent.
Got a job for me?
If that makes sense. Like they
military
have like
research complete.
A high degree of like verbal cognition, but their mind is full of such dissonance that they just actively misrepresent everything. And the reason why I call these language tricks out is because a lot of people, especially a lot of you guys here, might not even be, you might be ESL, right? And so like English isn't your main language, so you're like, oh, this is just like the same thing. No, actually, this person is deliberately trying to lie and misrepresent things.
Give the order.
Right now.
That will ultimately be a good thing.
It'll be a good thing.
Not like that I'm happy to be in trouble that way.
Yeah.
But
one of our enemies has finished a Titan.
Okay, this is like my goal in taking those pictures.
Yeah. Well, what was the goal?
Was to normalize trans women using the women's room.
But sure.
Man, I cannot think of a worse way to do that. Anti-Tank, thanks for 50 subs. I appreciate that. Yeah, I really, what a big mistake. Man, and also, by the way, I don't want to normalize this. I don't think it should be
Let the
normalized.
bidding commence.
And I think that most people agree with that.
I also agree that intimidating women and children in bathrooms will certainly draw attention and get people talking.
Normalize creepy behavior,
maybe not in the way that you want. Funnily enough, Tino's behavior and desire to point everything, good or bad, back to the trans community is why some trans
Times of
creators have
war
started
are
calling
upon
her to
us.
fuck her out, saying this is a person doing nothing good for fellow trans people.
Planet item
Now,
complete.
for me, I have already articulated my thoughts on Lily Tino a little bit in the other videos that I've made about this, so I'm going to try not to go over old ground here. But I will say, and I guess reiterate, this is a person who has absolutely no regard
Military
for others.
research complete.
This is a person who clearly goes out of their way to upset
A narcissistic, attention whore, obnoxious, selfish, self-centered, abusive, completely, totally self-absorbed, like just every bad thing possible, basically.
People.
Hope we get
And
you
this
out.
is a person who has absolutely no interest in doing the right thing by women. And importantly, this is a person who is very, very
No bid.
And I
You missed out.
Tino's behavior is going to continue like this unless people stop watching, stop donating and funding Tino, or Tino does something that actually legally crosses a bunch of lines and...
I have a better idea than people not watching how to stop this. I have a much better idea. I think that we should put the person in.
You've made a wise acquisition.
That's what I think. I think we put them in prison.
You've made a wise acquisition.
Yeah, we'll put them in prison, and that'll solve the problem. Get them out of here. Exactly. Give them an inch, they take a mile. Nope.
Times of war are upon us.
Case, well,
Civilian research complete.
An investigation has apparently gotten underway. I don't obviously know what the net result of that will be, but I do hope that there is a net result. Florida has already demonstrated that it will enforce its laws on this specific issue, as other trans-identified males have been arrested and fined for going into women's bathrooms and facilities and whatnot.
I think that doing it
Give
in
the
Disney
order.
World, especially a place where children are present, is a way higher degree of bad behavior. This is like doing it at a middle school. Like, it's very, very... Like, this is basically, like, there's a spectrum, right? Where, like, if you're doing this at a bar, I don't think it's as bad than if you're doing it at Disney World, right? Because one of them, there's a probability of minors being involved, and the other one, there's not.
So really, I am very interested to see what happens in this particular situation, and honestly, this is going to sound kind of bad to some of you. I am very much looking forward to seeing some of the smugness sucked out of Lily Tino if this investigation actually does something, if it actually goes somewhere.
Military
So,
research
from
complete.
here, I guess we are all going to be snuggled up together as we watch how this massive car crash unfolds. Now, on that note, and before I open the floor to
As much
all...
as I hate them, prison's too extreme for this. It needs to be a penalty, but no, let's not burden the system. The
Planet item
extreme
complete.
nature of it is the reason why it should happen. There needs to be a deterrence for other people that are doing the same thing.
Times of war are upon us.
If I
Got a
do
job
this,
for
there's
me?
a chance that I could risk a huge amount of damage to my life. It sends a message. Then what's prison for? Yeah, exactly. I feel
Ready
like, honestly,
for
this
battle.
is something that I would want my tax dollars to go towards. Who here wants their tax dollars to go to this? I can kick in a few extra bucks a year. Yeah, a lot of people.
Of you, this is just a reminder.
Got a job for me?
See the link in the description. I love Incogni. I genuinely use them.
Civilian
If
research
you are
complete.
iffed out and worried about the data broker side of things, this is absolutely something worth looking into and worth subscribing to.
Military research complete.
Now I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Are you surprised that Lily Tino has ended up in this situation? Do you think that this investigation is going to go anywhere? Do you think that it's just...
I think that if it was anywhere except for Florida or Texas, it wouldn't. Florida is going to go after this person for fun.
Military research complete. Times of war are upon us.
Political capital to be gained by holding this person legally accountable.
Our fleet is under attack.
Why would they ignore that?
You know, some political people saying some noise and...
Hold tight. This'll only take a minute.
Is it a bad thing?
Military research complete.
Nope.
Hostile forces have arrived.
What do you think of Lily Tino's response to all of the criticism for the initial bathroom incident in the first place? And what you generally make of this issue overall. As always, if you have made it this far in the video, congratulations. I always like having you along for the full ride. If you are new here and you are not subscribed already and you would like to see more of me and more of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel as well as leaving this video a like and a comment because I do read the majority of them. And I really
Item complete, Commander.
Of course, and as always, I hope you wonderful little flower people stay very safe and well and make good choices because they're important. And I will see you both pretty crazy in the next video.
I'm not.
What now?
So,
Brace for combat.
Yeah, basically, this is a good guys' video. I've never seen one of Sydney Watson's videos before.
Weapons at the ready.
Give her a sub, give her a like. I think that was really well put together, and definitely something.
Let's show them what we're made of. Weapons at the ready.
Feel that this is Lily Tino making a trip to Alligator Alcatraz. That's for illegal. That's a little bit different, right? But let's go back. I'll see if we can find a few more of this. And is Rise tarnished now the ring shirt? I couldn't imagine what else it would be besides that. Yeah, looks
Weapons at the ready.
for sure. And so
Opening fire.
I feel like,
Steady
again,
on.
Whenever you have like this bathroom issue,
Weapons at the ready.
I think
Weapons
that
at the
people
ready.
look at it from the wrong perspective. They look at it from the perspective of what makes a trans person comfortable, but you should be looking at it from the perspective of what makes a woman safe. And the reality is that having a trans male, like male to female trans person, go into a women's restroom.
Weapons
does
at the
make
ready.
them feel unsafe.
Our shields are down, Commander.
Very clearly does.
Ready
Now,
for
I can't
battle.
speak for all women,
Our shields are
but
down,
I think
Commander.
there's a large percentage of them that do feel this
Our
way.
shields are
I
down,
think
Commander.
There's a lot of social pressure to say that you don't feel this way right now. And so the amount of them that report being uncomfortable is probably lower than the actual amount of people that genuinely feel this way. But I think that as more
Reporting
of these cases
in.
come out, and as talking about this and being outspoken about it and direct about it, I think this shifts the window of the acceptable things to say more. And
Item complete, Commander.
willing to come out and
No
express
armor!
the way that they actually
Comm
feel
link
without being
active.
afraid of being bullied.
Yes,
And
Commander,
so,
at once.
Yeah, the majority of them do.
Shields
I don't know about
down.
majority, but I think there's a lot of people that do. What if she looks like a normal woman? I wouldn't want someone who looks like a normal woman in a male bathroom. You are making a subjective judgment. There are some people that think that one trans person looks like a woman, and some people that think that another
We're
trans
falling
person
apart
doesn't.
here.
Trans person
Need
doesn't.
immediate
It's very simple.
assistance.
Use the bathroom for your biological
This won't be
sex.
so
Period.
easy.
That's it. No
How
fine
can I be
print,
of service?
No exceptions. Actually, there are some exceptions. Like, for example,
No
if
armor!
you're a dad
Good day,
and
Commander.
you take your daughter into the women's bathroom,
Easily done.
in order to maybe change her diaper or something like that.
Military research complete.
Your daughter's like 4 years old. I think obviously that's acceptable. But in a general sense,
Our shields are down, Commander.
Yeah, of course, right? And this is a social contract, and this is the way the world has always worked. And I don't want to reinvent things.
Civilian research complete.
That's very simplistic.
Our shields are down, Commander.
Like, man, what should they do? Well, then
How
they
can
would
I be
use
of
their
service?
expression, because that was their biological gender or biological sex. That's clearly it. And I understand that this creates dissonance and it creates friction, but it's more important to make sure that the friction doesn't happen and that you're keeping the people that it's not complicated. Yes, exactly. The women don't feel safe with them. I'm sure maybe they don't, but at the end of the day, they are, again, they're biologically women. They should be going to
Let the
bathrooms
bidding
that are
commence.
made for their biology.
Shields are
That's it.
down.
Your comfort level as a man? Yeah, exactly. Does not override the safety.
Military research complete.
Why are people so confused about this? I don't know. I think that a lot of people
Item
try
complete,
to
Commander.
find a middle ground with a lot of topics like this, and I think in the process of trying to find a middle ground with these topics, what you end up doing is you end up allowing these people to slowly make progress whenever they're advancing like ideas and views.
Your arguments
that
are
do not
compelling.
advance.
I shall stand with you.
And I don't think that you should give even an inch to this. This is outrageous, selfish.
Military
behavior,
research
and nobody
complete.
should take it seriously even for a second. That's the way there's no middle ground with this. It's very simple the way that you need to deal with this. What
Good
about
day,
that?
Commander.
In a best case scenario, that's the case, but like every 7-Eleven isn't going to have a gender neutral bathroom. Like, I'm just being realistic.
Yes,
right?
Commander,
It's just not
at
gonna
once.
happen.
Where do you need me?
Trans to be a way to be a predator? I mean, I don't think
No
that this is the thing,
armor!
right? Like, if you go back and you watch the way that I talk about this, I don't misgender
Ready
people,
for
I don't
battle.
call them predators. I don't say
Yes,
anything
Commander,
like this.
at once.
Now, I do think that if you're constantly trying to go into women's bathrooms, this is perverted behavior. It absolutely is perverted behavior.
Where do you need me? This should be a routine combat mission. This should be a routine combat mission.
No bid. You missed out.
Our shields are down, Commander.
We've become so accepting. People have become so open-minded that their brains fall apart. That's basically what happened.
A sound plan.
So
We're underway.
piracy is coming back. I think the reason why this is happening is the old quote from Gavin. Piracy
Item
is
complete.
a service problem. The reason why piracy went down is because there were services like Netflix, for example, that acted as a market replacement for piracy, and the amount of money that you had to spend was minimal enough to where you could get the value out of it, and instead of spending the extra time and the potential risk with piracy, you could just simply access the shows easily. I think Spotify is the best example that a lot of us use now. How many of you guys had LimeWire and now you have Spotify?
Military
I know
research
I do.
complete.
So Spotify is an example of this happening and working in an effective way. But the problem is that with TV shows and movies, there are too many mouths to feed, and now people are going back to piracy. That's what my opinion is.
A sound plan.
LimeWire had more monthly users than Facebook, and the Pirate Bay was the only video store in town where you were sure to find what you were looking for.
You get that 1080p release a day before it comes out on theaters.
Hypothetically, of course. The world was slowly switching from physical to digital media, and even people who weren't
We're
particularly
underway.
tech-savvy realized that digital goods could be replaced endlessly with practically zero marginal cost.
Yep.
At its peak, 95% of all music downloads were pirated because it had become cheaper and, above all else, an easier way to fill up large digital libraries that were being made possible by cheap digital storage.
Yep.
But then, it just stopped. Since 2012, the internet has gotten faster, storage has gotten cheaper, and people have become more comfortable with computers, which should have just accelerated a growth trend. But it didn't. Since 2015, peer-to-peer file sharing has collapsed in popularity, and you might think you already know why. Streaming services like Spotify and Netflix were just a better, easier, and safer way to access content.
That's one reason.
And now, as these services have become markedly worse and simultaneously more expensive, piracy is making a comeback. It seems
that's the reason.
Pretty simple, right? The only problem is that's not the whole story.
Good.
Realistically, these companies knew this day would come. It was just really important that they could pretend
it's
it
too hard
wouldn't.
for normies. Yeah, I think that also them like shutting down and then re-hosting Pirate Bay over and over hurt piracy a lot because, and also LimeWire, it's kind of like if you cut off the head of the snake, you're going to remove a lot of people's access to piracy because like there are these websites that everybody would use and everybody would know. And just by the nature of how torrenting websites work, then seeding and, you know, like all of that, the more people use a site, the better the site is. So whenever you cut off a few of the heads and then people went to a bunch of different sites, I think that made piracy less accessible for the lowest common denominator of internet user. I think that was another effect that it had.
For a lot of people, they've decided it's time to cut back.
But legitimately, it might be time to cancel some subscriptions, and I'm probably going to have to cancel some.
Some of them I'm not using, and it's just wasting money.
There's so many of these, it's hard to keep track.
You don't even know.
At that point, that's an adversarial relationship. I don't want to pay people to enter adversarial relationships.
We aim, as I said, for this business to be a growth business for the company with margins that our shareholders will feel good about.
So
well, that didn't happen.
Really made piracy go away, and what's really bringing it back might sound simple, but there's actually a bit more going on. First and foremost, the majority of people actually would like to acquire their media legally as long as it was easy and not ridiculously expensive.
People want to have the media legally because it makes it easier to transfer and to use. And also there's risks with piracy. Like, for example, you download something and it could have a virus in it or something like that. Or obviously you could get caught, but like realistically, it's probably a virus. So, and again, these are 1% probabilities, but like if you had a bag of M&Ms and one M&M was poison, would you want to eat a bag of M&Ms? No, you wouldn't, right? You'd want to have another bag, even if the other bag was like way, way more expensive.
Reasonable people understand that it costs time and money to produce a song, film a movie, or develop a video game. And the people involved in these projects do need to be compensated, or else they are just not going to make them. Even people who frequent the high seas, so to speak, know this better than anybody else. A survey coming out of Australia at the peak of online piracy found that people who pirated content were actually more likely to pay for it if it was available. In a finding that really ages the study, online pirates...
Interest in content would imply interest in content. If people are willing to steal something, they're also probably part of the target audience automatically, because they wouldn't be stealing it if they weren't part of the audience. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like common sense, but like stating it kind of helps put things into perspective.
Were far more likely to pay for movies and music through iTunes or QuickFix. This was because people who pirated content were just more likely to consume content overall, and most of them would only make the trip to the Bay if they couldn't find what they were looking for more legitimately. So there were two things that changed after 2013. Sure, there were a few high-profile crackdowns on some of these sites, but even the regulators themselves knew they were just playing a game of whack-a-mole. One of the most downloaded files on the Pirate Bay was the Pirate Bay. A complete copy
Where
of the
do you
site
need
with
me?
all of the
The
addresses
item
that
is
could be set up
complete.
by basically anybody with some basic server hardware in the event that the authorities took down the original
A
site.
sound
But
plan.
then came along the streaming sites that,
Ahead
thanks to
slow.
faster internet speeds,
Civilian
could let
research
users watch
complete.
content on demand without
A
giving them
sound
direct
plan.
access to digital files, which could then be copied and shared illegally.
We're underway.
And the fact is that like Netflix is a better
Ahead
service
slow.
than using Pirate Bay.
A sound
it's a better
plan.
service. You get a
We're
higher
underway.
quality product on average. There's no watermarks. There's a lot of, like, it's a better service. It's the same as Spotify. Spotify is a better service than Pirate Bay was. I don't know. Like, I mean, so you like, you're right in terms of the breadth of content, but I don't think that you're right in terms of the quality of the individual.
Times of war are upon us. Military research complete.
To piracy, and so cheap compared to buying songs or movies one by one that it just didn't really make sense to bother with anything else. Nowadays, that's clearly changed. There are dozens of streaming services that are each getting more and more expensive every year.
Yep.
The movies and shows that you watch are
This is crazy. This is insane. This is like we've gone full circle, and now we're all the way back
Ready
to
for battle.
Quality is worse. Well, again, like, so quality. You're thinking about quality in terms of video quality. I'm thinking about quality in terms
Civilian
of
research
aggregation.
complete.
I'm thinking about quality in terms of being able to give recommendations. I'm thinking about quality in terms of usability, quality in terms of finding files. All of these things, and again, guys, I understand a lot of everybody, almost everybody in here, like, we're all internet
Reporting
right?
in.
Like, we're on the internet all the time. We're talking on the internet constantly, doing stuff constantly. I think that you really downplay the value that an average person gets out of having a self-contained system. You really, really downplay it. And I think Apple, you know, Steve Jobs understood that. That's why he was such a great visionary. And that's why the iPod was so successful and it blew everything else out of the water. Its usability is something that is actually a massive accessibility issue, and it cuts out so many people that you just never even see. It's about convenience, yeah.
Split up over different providers, the services themselves are getting worse by introducing ads and pushing less relevant content, and on top of all of that, it's just not that easy anymore. Even individual TV shows have certain seasons split up over different streaming services, and the first step in sitting down—
what?
One of our enemies
shows
has
on
finished a
multiple
Titan.
streaming services with different seasons? Is this true? Oh my god.
Military research complete.
What a scam.
Item
That's
complete,
insane.
Commander.
1984 release of Gremlins, and if you're unlucky,
Maximum civilian orbit slots reached.
VPN combo will get you the movie you want to watch.
Yeah.
If you're already going through all that effort, it gets really tempting to just replace streaming services with your port of choice, because in most cases, it will just be easier.
Yeah.
So yeah, streaming services were cheap and easy, which killed the need for piracy. But then
Times
they
of
slowly
war
became
are
expensive
upon
and
us.
terrible, which brought it back. Pretty straightforward, right?
Exactly.
Wrong. It's easy to write this whole thing off as just dumb companies being needlessly greedy to their own peril.
Yeah.
And while that's definitely
Place
true,
your
there
bids, you
is a lot more to it than that.
What is it?
Music streaming by comparison is decent. There are multiple services, but almost all of them have almost all of the music that you would possibly be looking for.
And
As a
also, you can import your own music as well.
result,
locally.
nobody really bothers to
Civilian structure complete.
Which is particularly impressive when you remember that just 15 years
Hostile
ago,
forces have
95% of
arrived.
music was
Our
being
fleet is
pirated.
under attack.
Service
Artists have not been thrilled about the little revenue they have gotten from streaming.
Just a short detour while we clear a path. Civilian structure complete. Hold tight. This'll only take a minute. Just a short detour while we clear a path. This should be a routine combat mission. Civilian structure complete.
Is that, like, it's unethical to steal things, but nobody cares.
Our shields are down, Commander. Our planet is under siege.
It might be the movie industry that's growing. The golden age of streaming was
Hold tight.
fast because it was
This'll
made
only
of
take a minute.
So it's time to look how
Next time, place a bid. Civilian structure complete. Times of war are upon us.
That's why I started using iScanner. I just
Ahead
scanned the receipt,
slow.
and it used AI to clean everything up. It straightened
That's
the page,
good.
fixed the lighting, and even
Civilian
removed the
research
list of
complete.
mistakes. I could finally read the numbers again, and drop the PDF straight into my records. Since then, it's kind of become my
cool.
go-to. Whenever I'm scanning documents,
Alright.
notes, receipts, or even
Scouts
something
have found a
that I've got
colonizable
on,
planet.
iScanner makes it super easy to salvage whatever's left and turn it into something
Damn.
useful. It's fast, it works across all my devices, and the free version actually does what I need.
Notepad really
including
does this?
editing,
I don't even know.
signatures, and storing everything in one place.
So you
Check
can,
it
like,
out
fake
with the link
documents?
below,
That's cool.
and make your paperwork just a little less painful.
I don't even use paperwork.
Netflix is the most dominant movie and TV streaming service in the world.
Yeah, no surprise.
It has over 300 million paying subscribers, and unlike
Jesus.
a lot of its competitors, it's actually profitable.
Oh, it's
Civilian
actually making
research
money now?
complete.
I thought it was losing money still.
Civilian research
But from
complete.
its very first days of online streaming, they knew they would eventually lose people back to piracy. They just really didn't care. And to see why, I'm sorry,
We're underway.
but we're going to have to look at some financials.
Okay.
Last year, it made
Ahead
$8.7
slow.
billion in net income after taxes,
Yeah.
which is extremely impressive. but it still makes it hard to justify the valuation of more than
$8.7 billion.
Times of war are upon us.
Wait, it only made $8 million, but the enterprise value is $500 billion? Who the fuck decided that? An elf? Oh, after 10,000 years, it's going to be worth it. Oh, billion? But that's million.
After taxes. I have to look at some financials. Last year, it made $8.7 billion in net income after
Okay, well, I guess he just said the wrong number.
taxes,
I
which
don't
is
know.
extremely impressive. But it still makes it hard to justify the valuation of more than $500 billion.
I mean, I don't know. Like, usually a company's valuation, like, especially if it's not like an intellectual property company, like Netflix does its own shows. So, like, even with intellectual property, like, you're really looking at like a 7 to 15x multiplier from everything that I know about venture capital, period. And like, even 7 is the ceiling, and 15.
I am listening, my friend.
Like weird AI thing that like nobody's ever thought about. So, I mean, 540 is insane.
At that rate, shareholders would need 57 years for their investment to pay off, which is not a reasonable bet for a company in an industry that has only been dominant for a decade. 57 years ago, watching a movie looked like this. And in another 57 years
Times of war are upon us.
Still be watching movies through the current selection of streaming services.
Civilian research
most
complete.
Investors in this company aren't dumb. They know that Netflix can't make their money back with its current structure. What they are
How can I be
is
of
being
service?
able to offer a cheaper service that can charge more for in order to fatten up those margins.
Let's not talk about my margins, by the way. Being nice and fat, that's a nice shirt. Do they make it for men?
Anyway, cutting content, raising prices, and pushing strange features like mobile games within the app are not some surprise new rollout. They are part of a development.
It's the ads. I think the ads are what's really going to push people away from using apps. Because like people like the reason why people went to piracy in the first place is because of accessibility. You could only watch a TV show at 18.
Civilian research
and
complete.
Also because there were 1 million commercials in it.
Plan that the company knew it would have to implement since it started offering online streaming. It would just be a lot better if they could do it without competition. Now, on the expenses side, there is some good news. As technology improves, network infrastructure has become cheaper for the same capacity, which means the actual cost to stream videos to users is getting better every year. Netflix's cost of revenue adjusted for inflation has actually been stable since 2022, despite adding almost 100 million new users in that time. Included in those
Civilian research
so
complete.
Revenue stays the same, but they keep adding users. I don't think that's a good thing. That sounds like a bad thing.
Aforementioned servers and network infrastructure, but it also includes the cost to license and produce their own movies, TV shows, and games. Another big reason their costs have been improving is because they just aren't licensing as much content as they used to, and that's for two
Time
reasons.
to bid.
The
Place
first
them
was a
high.
business decision to cut down on a cost, especially for content that wasn't drawing in new users. The second reason is simply because they can't get their hands on as many titles anymore, because independent studios have made their own streaming services and want to keep their biggest IPs exclusive. So
this
they can
is the big reason. Is that like there are just too many other
Civilian
services,
research
and
complete.
you don't have a one-stop shop. Spotify is a one-stop shop. Netflix isn't anymore, and it's not even close.
force users to either switch to their platform or shell out for 2 or more streaming services.
It's crazy.
Netflix is slowly producing its own titles, but that hasn't caught up to the content they are losing from licensing. So then
well, Netflix also has a massive weakness that they don't have.
Times of war are upon us.
They have to
Civilian research complete.
Like Disney has its own endemic IPs, like Snow White or something like that. That, you know, maybe they can make something really bad.
Let this be a lesson. Next time, pay up.
Netflix, like One Piece was a massive success. My dad watched this. He loved it. He thought this show was amazing. So, like, I mean, it was a big success. And even The Devil May Cry
What do you need to know?
did pretty well, right? But overall, Netflix has made good shows, but they have to source these shows themselves. And so they have to pay for licensing, etc. Whereas like Paramount or HBO, they might have the IP for this to begin with. Especially this is true with Disney. Like think about the advantage that Disney has whenever they already own
Item
the
complete,
entire
Commander.
catalog of Marvel movies. That's like such a massive baseline advantage.
Does this mean that Netflix doesn't care about piracy? Well, publicly they say they do, of course. But piracy is going to hurt their competition a lot more than it's going to hurt
Scouts
them.
have found a
If people
colonizable
can't
planet.
find a movie or show on Netflix and then give up and pirate it, that didn't really cost Netflix any money. because the vast majority of content out there...
Preparing for phase jump.
One of the doctors to call me. I don't count my chickens before they hatch. You know, I'll feel better whenever he's at home, but things are looking good. Let's get back to it.
A lot more than it's going to hurt them. If people can't find a movie or show on Netflix and then give up and pirate it, that didn't really cost Netflix any money, because the vast majority of content out there wasn't theirs to lose, and they most likely didn't spend the money producing it.
A sound plan.
Paper in the Journal of Economic Behavior and Organization titled Pirate and Chill found that when movies moved off
Where
Netflix
do you
to
need
another
me?
platform, piracy of that content increased by more than 20%. Now,
Netflix has such a massive first mover advantage. They're basically like the Twitch of like streaming platforms, is that while other streaming platforms exist and they're successful, they don't have the same brand recognition and name recognition that Netflix does. Like, everybody knows what Netflix is. So I think that's another really big reason why this happens too.
First and foremost,
Civilian research tier complete. Civilian research complete.
It showed why Netflix hasn't been too concerned with online piracy. In a now infamous quote from the company's chief content officer, they said that in order for Netflix to be successful, we need to become movie studios faster than movie studios can become us. Piracy that disproportionately hurt legacy movie
Times
studios and
of
libraries
war
content
are upon
was not
us.
something that Netflix would encourage. But behind closed doors, they certainly weren't too sad it was happening. Another way to think about this is that obviously Amazon isn't encouraging shoplifting, but it's a problem that hurts their competition far more than it hurts them.
Scouts have found a colonizable planet.
LA POV, I guess. I mean, they're right. You know, yeah, obviously people like what Netflix is saying is that they have a lot of like smaller shows that don't have like a huge amount of like they're not super well-known shows. So they're going to be less people pirating them. I think
Piracy
that's
has
true.
I am
also been a
listening,
hidden
my
low
friend.
throughout the company's
Item
history.
complete, Commander.
Back in 2013, it admitted to using data from online piracy sites to find out
Where
what was
do you
popular,
need me?
and therefore what was...
Hey, you could say this is unethical, but you can't say it's not going to be effective. That's a really good fucking idea. Yep, figure out what kind of shit people steal, and then don't sell that.
It's worth licensing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Netflix doesn't
Smart.
care about the rise of piracy. But what about the actual Hollywood studios? Well, they obviously do, and they crack down on IP theft with furious anger. But
Your
they are
influence
in a
is
situation
undeniable.
They could send piracy back to the dark ages by reconcentrating their content onto a single easy platform. But at the moment, that would probably...
They can't, because then you're just going to have people that are going to be putting up the files somewhere else. Like, it's always a game of whack-a-mole, and the more difficult that you make it for people to, like, consume the content, the more people will just simply take the easier route. I think that people will pay for the content if they can, but if it's annoying for them to pay for it, they'll just steal it.
Be Netflix, which a company like Disney would obviously not be willing to go along with after investing so much in their own service. If they keep competing, though, they are just going to make the experience worse for everybody and
That's
probably
true.
lose more ground to the high seas. Now, for these companies, this whole fight could not be happening at a worse time. There is a reason why music studios were able to play nice and make their content available just about anywhere while movie studios were fighting to the death. Music is simply much cheaper to produce, and there are far more sources of alternative revenue beyond just directly selling a song or an album. Artists don't make
That's
as
a good
much
point too. Yeah, you're right about that. Like having like other types of licensing, etc. And like this is something.
Time
that,
to
remember
bid,
Matt Damon
place
talked
am
about
I.
this, is that movies
Times
used
of
to have,
war
like,
are
DVD
upon
sales
us.
that they could really
How can I
pop
be of
off with.
service?
So like if a movie, like a good example of this, I think is I would say like maybe
Scouts have found a
Dredd.
colonizable
Like,
planet.
So they made a Judge Dredd movie in like 2012 or so. And if I remember right, the box office wasn't very good, but it did really well with DVD sales. And so, yeah, Grandma's Boy was probably another one. Yeah, there's a lot of these examples, right, where like it sold a lot of DVDs, but like its initial like box office was kind of low. And yeah, by Blu-rays, yeah, a good-ass movie, cult classic. Yeah, Idiocracy was a huge one that sold well on DVD. Yeah, that's a great example. Idiocracy is probably a better example than what I'm talking about, right? And so now you don't have that second ripple explosion wave effect. And I think that's also another reason why movies have to try even harder to like monetized. And I think that's why you see
Sorry,
less
mate.
avant-garde
Better look in the
risky
next
movies.
auction.
And the only time that you see a movie that takes a lot of risks is when it's a director or it has a cast that's like, you know, guaranteed to secure a cerern amount of money in sales.
From streaming as they would from a
Times of war are upon us. Scouts have found a colonizable planet.
On the flip side, movies have largely been getting more expensive to produce, while cinema attendance has never fully recovered from its dip during COVID. Ironically, one of the biggest theater releases of the past 5 years was actually
Infinity War, right? It's got to be Infinity War.
From music studio with the cinema release of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour.
Oh, God. Somebody's got to stop these white girls. Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Man. That shit was huge. How did this happen?
In the past, poor box offices wouldn't matter as much, because mid-budget movies could make a lot of their money back through DVD sales.
Hey!
But obviously, that's not really a thing anymore.
Yeah.
So studios have put even more effort into pushing their streaming services to eventually make back the difference.
Yep.
It's a bold strategy, and there are hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap at stake. So executives really want to pretend that eventually it'll work out. But if it doesn't,
Scouts have found
there
a
are some lessons to
colonizable
be learned
planet.
from the music industry, which didn't beat piracy. It just made it unnecessary.
Times of
The first is
war
that
are
movies have
upon
simply
us.
become too expensive for the current market.
And this is another big issue, too.
Studios have recognized.
This is another big issue is that, like, video games are running into the same problem that movies and TV shows are running into, is that as production costs increase, they're increasing at a ratio and at a rate that doesn't match the
Item complete, Commander.
amount of money that people are willing to spend. So whenever you have these video games that are costing $800 million,
Times of war are upon us.
Are you really getting $800 million of value? Well, in a lot of cases, the answer is no. So the problem is that these movies now are costing so much money. Like, maybe you need to rethink how you're making movies. You need to rethink how you're approaching this. And, like, also, you know, like, Robert Downey Jr. got paid, like, what, $80 million?
More crystal
or
is
something
needed.
like that to play Dr. Doom. That's just not a sustainable business model. It's just
Civilian
it's just
research
not.
complete.
Like, you can't spend that much money.
Scouts have found a
on movie
colonizable
stars
planet.
and then think that you're gonna make your money back. Like, and also, like, I'm not, like, I love Robert Downey Jr. I think he's a great actor. He's amazing. But it's just, this is not a good business decision. That's
Where
all.
do you
It's just
need
not
me?
a good business decision. And you can't make your fucking money back. Yeah, paving the way for
auction
AI videos.
is
Well, that's what's gonna
underway.
happen a lot. Check the box salaries. I bet he makes
Item
a ton.
complete, Commander.
Absolutely, it's unbalanced. Yeah, it's a broken system. 100% it is. They're definitely getting that value. They're not correct.
Times of war are upon us.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of movies. Like, here's another really good one. The Thunderbolts recently. I think that's a movie that, you know, a lot of people said was surprisingly very high quality. And it was
Times of war are upon us.
You failed to place a bid.
Civilian research complete.
That was my. It sucked ass. Well, I don't know. Like, I mean, I maybe best movie since Endgame. Yeah. So a lot of people, it's still bombed. Yeah, exactly. Seems like you guys are a little bit more split on it than what I've seen popular opinion be. Okay.
Maximum civilian orbit
either
slots
way,
reached.
A lot of these movies, like, they just don't really sell very well. And I think they're investing too much money into these movies in general. And I think also, you know, like,
Maximum civilian orbit slots
the older
reached.
movies, like, oh, fuck. Like, just Goodwill Hunting.
Civilian structure complete.
Like, how much production value did you really need in that? You didn't need a huge, insane amount of production value. And
Civilian structure
now,
complete.
Like, you don't have to have Michael Bay explosions and all of this
Item
crazy
complete,
stuff.
Commander.
Yeah, that's another great example. Bro, Clerks. They couldn't even afford color fucking cameras. It's in black and fucking white. And they just went and made a movie, and it was massively fucking successful. And so, again, I think also they need to rethink the amount of
Reporting
money that
in.
they're spending on these movies. And you can go back, Memento by Nolan. I remember watching that in movie making class, but I don't remember even, like, that entire class I spent simping for this girl. It didn't work. Anyway, Anyway, so that's yeah. So I did not even pay attention to that movie at all. And yeah, let's see here. Money makes it there. Yeah, exactly right. Paranormal Activity 1. Yeah, and there's plenty of examples of this. Napoleon Dynamite, another great example. So they need to rethink how much money they're spending on movies in the same way that developers for video games need to rethink how much money they're spending on games. If you're investing this much money into something, you can't afford for it to lose, and you can't live, like, whenever you're dealing with entertainment products, you can't deal in...
All right, you twisted me
You
arm.
can never guarantee something is going to be a success like this.
Nice that people are only going to the movies for special occasion releases these days because it's expensive, the theater experience isn't that good anymore, and people can just wait a month and watch it for free on one of the streaming services that they were already paying for.
And it's also, a lot of the movies now are coming out on streaming services at the exact same time that they're coming out in movie theaters. And so it's even more the case.
Scouts have found a colonizable planet.
Movie, like, that's coming out would I want to watch in movie theaters? I can't even think of anything.
Civilian research complete.
The last one, like,
An auction is underway.
Like maybe Superman? I don't really care about Superman.
Item complete, Commander.
28 years later, yeah, maybe that. Like I remember I watched
military research complete.
Like 2009.
How can I be of service?
So like maybe that. I don't know. I'd really have to think about it. Gladiator 2? No, I didn't like a 2. Like no, it didn't need to be that way. And Dune,
You failed to place a bid.
If they make part 3 of Dune, I'd probably watch that in movie theaters. That would be the next one.
Instead of making the whole thing cheaper and putting less of their eggs in a single basket, they have doubled down on producing mega blockbusters. Of the 20 most expensive movies ever made, 19 of them came out in the last 10 years after streaming was already mainstream. These figures also only count the production budget, not the marketing budget. And on the revenue side, the box office
And by
doesn't
the way, marketing budget for these is sometimes like hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not like marketing is small. It's a huge component.
Include the share paid out to movie theaters.
Military research
With even
complete.
Extremely generous estimates of those arrangements, only about half of these releases made their money back. And some in particular, like the Marvels, Snow White, Dial of Destiny, and the latest Mission Impossible movie, are shaping up to be catastrophic losses. So far, studios have been able to justify these flagship productions to their investors by talking about their IP value, which can later be extracted by bringing in customers.
Yeah, Ironheart, bro. Like, how's that going? Not so good, huh?
To their streaming platforms. But that isn't really happening. Customers who join because they want to watch a single movie didn't tend to stay subscribed for very long compared to those who enjoy a deeper library of mid-budget movies or TV shows. I don't know about you, but I tend to take my subscription to whatever streaming service.
Military research complete.
These huge productions also put more strain on the business as these losses have to be made up somewhere.
Reporting in.
I've always, like, I just have a subscription to, I have, like, Crunchyroll, and...
How can I be of service?
And that's about it. Like, I don't really have a lot of these.
More often than not, increased prices, more ads, and more
Your influence is noted. We have a deal. Your influence is noted. We have a deal. You are not worth my time.
Civilian research complete.
People towards the high seas.
Yep.
So anyway, now might be a good time to shamelessly plug that these videos are being made available ad-free on Spotify. So if you would prefer to listen in or watch it over there, I have left a link in the description.
Yeah, Spotify is doing what they need to, what movies need to do. Because Spotify is like Steam. It prioritizes the user experience.
Military research
and
complete.
When you prioritize the user experience, you control the market. The moment that you start making content and developing your commercial product for the best interest of the people that are making money off of it is the moment that your commercial product begins to fail, because you've lost connection with your actual audience here.
If you think it's just streaming services that have been getting so bad, go and watch this video next to find out why making junk makes so much money.